E aí pessoal, bem-vindos ao canal Amigo Gringo. Hoje vamos conhecer. I'm thinking in Spanish. Hoje vamos conhecer um professor. E eu sei o que vocês estão falando. Oh, mais um professor. Não. Esse professor do Cambly é muito interessante. Se você não acha ele interessante, eu vou te dar seu dinheiro de volta. Todos os $0 e 0 centavos que você pagou por assistir esse vídeo, eu vou mandar para você. Ele é muito interessante. Eu nem vou falar, vocês vão ter que esperar. Detalhe, todos esses vídeos, quando a gente fala com professores, tem legendas em inglês e em português. É só ativar no YouTube. Se você está assistindo pelo Instagram, a gente coloca as legendas em inglês. Antes de começar, a Fernanda está tirando sarro de mim. É só para as pessoas verem, ok? Normalmente, pessoal, eu não gravo esses vídeos com outras pessoas, mas os vídeos que vamos gravar depois, a Fernanda está aqui para ajudar, droga. Antes quero contar para vocês, tem uma nova promoção do Cambly. Por primeira vez na história do Cambly, você recebe um desconto nos planos mensais e esses planos são a partir de R$99 por mês, ok? Normalmente eles dão uma aula de graça ou um desconto no plano anual. E muitas pessoas provavelmente dizem, não vou pagar um plano anual, nem sei como é. Pode pagar mensalmente a partir de R$99. Isso você obviamente vai usar o código que está aqui ou também o link na descrição. Ou se você está assistindo pelo Instagram, link na bio. Vamos direto para esse professor, vocês vão amar ele. Vou conectar com Cambly pelo computador. Peraí. Agora.
Hello, this is Panda Sanda. Where are you calling from?
I am in New York City, Queens, New York. Thanks for doing this video with us. I'm really excited about it. We've talked a little bit over the message system of Cambly, and I know you're going to have a lot to tell us. First of all, can you tell us why your name is Panda Sanda?
Well, my real name is Randy Sanders, and I was going to use Randa Sanda as a nickname, and someone said, I look like a panda. I'm fat, so I'm chubby fat. And also, I could have said Panda Santa, but I didn't want to bring in Santa into my name.
And you've told me that you actually do play Santa.
Yeah.
Tell me about your Santa career.
Started by accident. I was taking math in a summer class at community college, and the teacher owned a Santa Claus company. When I walked in, I had a short beard, it was white, and he looked at me and he says, "Have I ever been a Santa Claus?" I said, "No, I applied for a job, but they hired someone else." And he kept talking, and one of the girls said, "Are you trying to hire him?" And he said, yes, he was. He was actually trying to hire me to be a Santa Claus. And that was 10 years ago.
One question to ask before we get into what it's like to be Santa. Why were you taking a math class at age whatever? Have you just been learning your whole life? I mean, you obviously are, I don't know how old you are, but 10 years ago you weren't 18.
Well, I did really good at math when I was young. I was actually #1 in the state when I was 14. Top 1% in the nation when I graduated. But I hurt my knees, I hit my head, and my eyes have got a cut on my face, my eyes don't focus. I went to school, passed out, walked off a scaffold 80 feet in the air. I've had crazy life, a real crazy, painful life.
Can you just tell me about, you walked off a scaffold?
80 feet in the air. Scaffold is construction. Was working at Horse Mesa Dam, building a powerhouse. When I was 18 after school, I couldn't read, so I didn't go to university after high school. And we were on scaffolding, and when I was 18 months old, I was watching tadpoles in a coffee can. My brother walks down the steps backwards, fell on top of me. It sliced through my face. I almost bled to death. I almost choked to death on my own blood, but my eyes are like 2 inches apart vertically. I would read and just pass out from reading. But I got good ears. Because my eyes are so bad, I could memorize an instant. I could see a paragraph of text, close my eyes, see all the text, and hear my professors reading it to me. And I practiced Russian for years with my eyes closed, just talking with my eyes closed.
Oh my God. Wait, hold on. So you've already said about 4 things I have to ask you about. So you were number 1 in the state in math, but you couldn't read.
I know. At the time, I didn't realize I had eye problems, but the time I had an injury when I was 14 to my knees. And I don't know if it was before or after the math contest, because I don't remember even taking it. But I hurt my knees. I hit my head going forward. It actually snapped my legs when I was playing football. And I get out of high school and I couldn't walk. I couldn't see straight. Nothing worked. I know, it's terrible. But in high school, I had 1 year of Latin, 3 years of German, and my senior year, we had a Russian language program in high school. Because my math, when I was number 1 in the state freshman level, my freshman friend, he was number 1 in the state at the open level, and sophomore we were chemistry lab partners. He was number 1 in the nation.
This is all growing up in Arkansas at the time?
Well,
is that where you were?
I was in Arizona by then.
Where you still are today, right?
Well, I'm still in Arizona. I lived in Phoenix for 60 years, the second sunniest city in the world.
Wow.
I finally moved January 1st. I moved to Prescott, which is much higher elevation.
Let's go back to the scaffold. You fell off the scaffold?
Oh, we were working at an extreme height. I was an apprentice. I had a belt that ties onto the framing. I had to take it off to do something. I walked to the very end. The scaffolding, I was standing on the very end, and the scaffolding went up and down, and I caught on to the scaffold jack that was going into the wall that was holding the scaffolding together. I was standing on a 2x12 piece of wood and 80 feet in the air.
And you survived.
Well, yeah, I caught on before I fell. I mean, the whole piece of wood went out from under me, and I'm looking down, grabbing something.
Oh my God. So you managed to not fall then.
Or I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, I guess 80 feet now that you mention it. You played football. You played
American football.
Exactly. Yeah. I see you've spoken to a lot.
Yes, and I still hurt. You know, I got concussions. Now concussions are a big deal, but back then, we got your bell rung. You say, oh, walk it off. Just get up. Keep playing, you know.
For anyone who's not following and I know a lot of Brazilians follow the NFL actually, but if you haven't followed it, there's a lot of talk about how these concussions can lead to long-term damage and even death in football players.
I believe I have some damage because I went from number 1 in the state to not being able to read by the time I got out of high school.
Wow. Well, I guess I should ask, what did you work in through your career?
Well, I went 4 years for Russian language, and I went to school. I was the worst student that ever went. Dropped out of school finally after 4 years. I just simply could not read, and I had no money, starving, washed dishes, was homeless a time or two, worked at a dairy, did landscaping, manual labor, and I wanted to get, a more professional job. Well, at one of the jobs I was doing welding, I got galvanized poisoning. It almost killed me. I was out of work.
I don't even know what that means. You got galvanized?
There's pipes that have zinc or aluminum coating on it, and the fumes from that, if you breathe that, it can kill you. I ended up being out of work for 2 years. I got into AutoCAD drafting in 1988, and I was one of the very first trained people to ever learn AutoCAD drafting in 1988, architectural drafting.
Oh, I see. Is that a computer draft on the computer?
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, AutoCAD is a software.
So this is when architecture was moving from the literal drawing board onto computers.
Absolutely. The very first, there was one person who knew AutoCAD before I did, I think, in the entire state, something like that.
Wow. Okay. So and you worked in that you were able to work in that for a while.
20 years.
I think you had said that you did study Portuguese for at least a year or something, right?
Well, when I went my first semester at university, I had English 101, Portuguese 101, and Russian 101. And unfortunately, my first semester, I had a 2-hour Russian final, I had a 10-minute break, and a 2-hour Portuguese final.
Oh my God.
My mind hit a blank wall. Literally, I hit a blank wall. I got a 51%. I've never forgot, 50 years ago, I got a 51% on my final. I didn't pass it, and I realized I can't do 2 languages with my eye problem. I was reading 15 minutes and blacking out for 3 to 5 hours.
And with your problems, I think even most people have a huge problem learning 2 languages at once. You know, I learned Spanish, and then I learned Portuguese, and while I was learning Portuguese, suddenly I couldn't speak Spanish very well. It's our brains, I think, and I still to this day, I speak much more Portuguese than Spanish, and when I go to a Spanish-speaking country, I have to it takes me a 24 hours just to set my brain on Spanish. Tell me what you do as a Santa. The first thing I can think of is that it's much better to be Santa in the Northern Hemisphere, because if you have to wear all those clothes where it's really hot.
Yeah, no, that's not going to work. Even in the Northern Hemisphere, this suit had lining in it. One day we were out with the horse. This lady has a horse and carriage, and we'd go around the parking lot, and we'd sit in the back, and I'd tell jokes like, what is a duck's favorite snack?
Wait,
the kids would go,
quackers?
Cheese and quackers. Yeah,
got it. Okay.
You're up there. I was trying to tell this 5-year-old boy in Saudi Arabia, this is my magic reindeer, my magic sleigh, but we had to put wheels on it. And he goes, fake Santa, fake reindeer, fake sleigh. He goes, that's not a reindeer, that's a horse. I go, no, it's a reindeer. It's just really big. He would not believe me.
So this was a Cambly student.
Cambly student, yeah. Funny.
Yeah,
the youngest student I've had was 3 years old.
So you get hired as a Santa to be in stores or to be outside, or
kind of both. We have a store. People come in to get photos. This last year was different. I had to wear the mask, and all you see is my eyes. I have the suit on, the hat. All you see is my eyes, the mask, and the clothing. But we had 2 meters of distance. Well, 6 feet, 2 meters.
Right, of course.
This was the first year. Most of the time, 3,000 kids in 1 month sit on me, top of me. I'm holding little babies, 95, 98%. It's fun. And then the screamers,
We should include a very important English vocabulary word about Santa, which is that the children sit on your lap, right?
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a hard word. How do you say lap in Portuguese? No colo. Okay, right. Now, let's get into language.
Number 1 way to learn a language is listen. Listen, think about it, and then, like when we're babies, 1 to 2, we don't talk, but 10 hours a day, 365 days a year, 3,500 hours listening to our first language. When we start talking 4, 5, 6, we're talking mile a minute.
Yeah.
So our second language, if we get 1 hour or 2 hours a day, that's nothing compared to the thousands of hours. But the more you listen in 2 or 3 years, you will be talking. You'll be talking really well.
It very much reminds me of when I learned Portuguese, and I did have a class. It wasn't online. It was like 15 years ago. It was a one-on-one class with a teacher, very much like Cambly, except it was in person. It wasn't enough. I had like 1 or 2 hours a week with her. So I did listen to the radio from Brazil, which I got on the internet, at least an hour a day. I've told that story to my viewers before, and it's incredibly helpful. So the combination of speaking to a teacher and listening, just having those sounds enter your brain was very useful. And of course, today, you don't need to listen to the radio. You have podcasts.
We have internet. We have YouTube is amazing.
Oh, and YouTube, of course.
And Google, you can find anything. We had 1 teacher, 1 book, back in 1970. It's like caveman era.
Wow. Well, we are out of time. I'm sure people would love to hear more. And of course they can, because you can go on to Cambly and find you, and you are listed as Panda Sanda. We'll put a link in the description of the video. Se vocês querem conversar com alguém muito interessante, já sabe quem é. Mais interessante que qualquer outro professor que eu já conheci. So you'll be back next Friday with a tip about resources for learning English, right?
Yeah.
Until then, thank you so much. Good luck. Enjoy the nice weather in the winter in Arizona. I'm freezing in New York.
Muito obrigado.
Pessoal, menti ou não menti? ele é muito interessante. Também fala um inglês bem claro. Olha, eu acabo de falar com ele, se vocês escreverem comentários em inglês embaixo desse vídeo, eu acho que ele vai entrar e responder. Não sei, não tenho certeza, mas acho que sim. Então, pratica seu inglês escrevendo para o Randy lá nos comentários. Até a próxima.